Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Just Another Car Show. What is a car that was forgotten about? A car that never gets talked about? A car that, while men in business suits drool over their crypto portfolios, cruising around in their BMW M2s, have never even thought of? Well, we're here today to make sure that all of Audi's hard work over the past several years does not go unnoticed. Audi has been that kid in the corner working diligently for years on something that when it came out, we all laughed at. The original TTs looked like a VW Bug and a BMW had an ugly baby. And with rumors that this is going to be the last TT ever made, we truly want to pay respect to all the work Audi put into this Mark III, and the RS model that we have here today takes all that work to its maximum potential. Let's start with the exterior. The original TT looked like a sad kid that had just been bullied by all the other German car manufacturers. And honestly, the sales did not go that well. They wanted to release it in just manual. They wanted to commit to the sports car vibe of the TT. However, they quietly, without announcement, started releasing the car in automatics, which tells us as the consumer, sales aren't going that well. This Mark III TT does not speak to his older ugly brother. With the dynamic and black optic packages included in the RS model we have here today, you get incredible design and things like a wing that looks like it was designed by a 12-year-old's crazy imagination. The RS model comes with a bigger grille, deeper bumper, and you get these massive intercooler vents on the sides of the front bumper. Just like in our BRZ video, we referenced that the headlights of the car are very much like the eyes of the car. They give the car its overall feel. They let you know if the car's aggressive or not. Audi did a great job upgrading the old, bulby, round, awkward-looking headlights to these slanted, aggressive, pointed headlights that give the car an aggressive, sporty feel. Audi did everything they could to get you to forget about the old, round, bulbous TTs of the past. They said, we want this car to look aggressive, sporty, fun, and expensive. And it definitely draws a crowd, to the point where random people pull up in your driveway at 7 a.m. and start walking around it for no good reason. All we can say when we look at this car is it looks like an adult Hot Wheels. Moving down the side of the car, you get great side skirts, huge new wheels, a mini diffuser on the back end, and oval-shaped tailpipes. And you know it's a modern sports car because you even have plastic fake vents. All right, now remember, it's a German car, so you can't just look sexy on the outside, you gotta look sexy on the inside too. And the first thing you'll notice when you get inside this car is you have no center display. There's no center display unit, and it honestly feels kind of lacking until you sit down in the driver's seat. You'll notice that Audi gave you everything you need in your gauge cluster. There's menus, there's windows, it's a little confusing, but once you get it all laid out, everything is right there for you. In keeping with that modern, minimalist, but not skimping around on anything theme, Audi created one of the most modern, elegant climate control systems we've ever seen. They created a system where every vent has directional changes on the outside and then climate control systems on the inside button. You have heat seaters on the outside vents. You have AC manipulations and controls on the inside vents. And all you do is twist the vent around, change the direction of the air, and enjoy your wonderful German climate control system. Audi also did an awesome job of reminding you that you bought the RS model. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 million ways where they slammed RS to the interior of this car. It's on the steering wheel, it's on the shift knob, it's on the door sills. There's even an RS badge on the seats. And these seats are something to behold. They're diamond stitched leather and they cup your body like a loving mother. The rear seats though, leave a little bit to be desired. They are, again, seats for insurance purposes. So I can tell my insurance company, I don't drive a 2-seater, I drive a 4-seater. Boom, my insurance is cheaper. And Audi knew that the owners of the TT would not be using the back seats, so they made them functional. If you fold down the back seats in this car, the trunk of this car expands from, okay, I've got enough size, to essentially the size of a Honda Civic. You can fit a ton of gear and equipment in the back of this car and has tons of space. All that storage in the trunk really screams GT car. And the steering wheel is something else that screams GT car. You have your ignition button on the right side of the steering wheel and your driving modes on the left side of the steering wheel. So you can easily go from comfort when you're taking your mom out to lunch to dynamic when you're trying to flex for the homies and use the crazy launch control that this car has. With all the GT stylings of this car, we still feel like this is a grown man's Hot Wheels. And now it's time to get this grown man's Hot Wheels out on the road.
All right, so driving the 2022 Audi TT RS. This car comes in at 3,329 pounds, so driving it, you know you're in a tiny little car, and you feel that when you're looking around, just seeing all the other cars around you. But this tiny little car has a lot of pep and go. Comes with an inline turboed 5-cylinder with a firing order of 1, 2, 4, 5, 3. This tiny little 2.5 cylinder generates 400 horsepower, all going into an all-wheel drive system. So the launching system, the launch control system on this car, Sam discovered it one evening. It is insane.
Holy shit.
And the all-wheel drive system translates into your steering really well. Just think about the fact that you have a really short wheelbase and you have no weight and you have an interestingly balanced engine with a decent turbo on it. Like this whole formula just speaks to a really quick, really fun car. And then you slam a S-tronic dual clutch 7-speed automatic transmission. This is a fucking recipe for greatness. The only complaint about the transmission is the shift paddles themselves. Sam complained they're not clanky, which sounds like the dumbest thing to ever say, but when you have a significant change in the way the vehicle is operating, aka shifting, you want it to be a solid and profound moment, even though it's a brief moment when you have a dual clutch 7-speed. Suspension, front suspension types are struts. Rear suspension type is multi-link. So what do you got to do when you have all that power, all that steering, all that suspension? You need to stop. And there are wildly intense 8-piston RS brakes on this little baby. I'm not going to tell you specifics about the speed you can be going to the speed you can stop, but it is significant. It's to the point where hey, maybe bucket seat would be nice with an actual harness. Dude, if you have a lot of money, just buy this car, buy some nice seats, put a fucking roll cage in it, and put a harness on it, and you'll never lose. Okay, the one complaint though with this car, with its driving features, was the ride quality. We know that it's a sporty luxury car, but there are sporty luxury cars that are also still very comfortable, and the TTRS just didn't really do that for me. They kind of screwed themselves because they put 20-inch wheels all around the car. So with 20-inch wheels, you're gonna have such a low profile tire that you're gonna get a really bumpy ride. So maybe if you bought thinner, smaller wheels with thicker tires, you had a higher profile, it might be a smoother ride. But all in all, driving the car was a wild experience. Driving the car felt like drinking your first Monster in middle school. It was lime green. Monster was lime green. The energy was there. It was a really fun, crazy experience. Even the fact that the ride quality is not there, you don't really care, because you get that this car is just supposed to be crazy. This car is supposed to be what a Pokemon would be if you were looking at a Huracan. It would evolve from Audi TT RS to Audi R8 to Huracan. That would be the evolution of this car, and we thought it was a great drive.
At the beginning of this video, we asked why no one talks about the Audi TT, especially this RS model. And unfortunately, what we came to understand is the Audi TT RS sits in no man's land. With competition like the BMW M2, Toyota Supra, and now you have the new Nissan Z that are all more established and cheaper than this car, it's not surprising that Audi is considering killing this baby off. And then when you look at this car in the RS lineup for Audi, it's kind of like the weird baby brother, because you can get the RS5 for a measly $7,000 more. So it's really hard to justify buying this car when you could get so much more meat on the bone for a measly $7,000 more. The TT is stuck in no man's land with established competitive competition and nowhere to go in its own lineup. We understand why Audi is killing the TT. We commend Audi here at Jax for making the TT the best that it could have been, and truly bringing it from the weird, awkward sports car that we all saw in the early 2000s to the sports car that it always should have been.